NFL training camps have opened up. The Falcons report on Thursday. Joining me to get us ready for training camp, three guys that know all about what these next couple weeks are going to be like. We got Sean Weatherspoon, Drew Butler, and Mohamed Massaquoi. Guys, thanks for being here with me. What's going through these rookies' minds as they get ready for their first training camp?
You know, I think you just want to go in and make a good impression. You had a chance to get with your team already this time, this past spring. And it's about, making it count and going out there executing and showing the team that they can rely on you. And a lot of rookies are going to be having to cover kicks and just make the team. So you got to focus on what you need to focus on. I think they'll be fine.
The nerves, are you feeling the nerves, or what are you thinking, Drew?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they just don't know what to expect. They try to get these guys as ready as they can throughout OTAs and mini camp, but leading up to training camp, fortunately, the NFL is so well run that these guys will know exactly what to expect from a day-to-day basis. Taking care of your body is one thing, and like Spoon just said, you got to find your niche. Become best friends with the special teams coach. That's your quickest way on the field, no question.
I'll throw this out to all of you. What is the toughest part of camp when it's all said and done?
Don't ask me, I'm a punter. Yeah.
As a receiver, it's just making sure that you don't pull anything. It's so intense, and you run up against guys that you respect. Whoever is going to cover Julio, or the guy that you don't know that's been in the league for 10 years. So everybody's so good at that level that you're just trying to make sure that you can compete at that level day in, day out, because you don't have the experience that the rest of the guys have.
Well, it's a little different, than when I came in. We actually had a morning practice and pads, and in the afternoon we would still be practicing. It would just be in shorts. Yeah. So now you just got to make sure you're going in the best shape that you can go in. He talked about, like Mohamed said, pulling something. You do not want to pull anything. You want to make sure that you're in shape and you're not using camp to get into shape.
Just throwing it out there to all of you, maybe not just rookies, but how important is camp in general for these players?
It's important. It's your tune-up. For some of these guys that aren't drafted, it's your chance to actually get into the league and succeed in realizing your dream. For other guys, they're trying to make sure that they get their spots. Some guys are vets. They're playing for championships. They're trying to win. No one can go into the season without getting these reps. The game is too physical. It's too fast. There's too many other great professionals, so you need this time to clean it up and have your practice runs.
Did any of you ever deal with a player holding out during camps?
I can't think of in my time, no. I remember when I was at the Steelers, Antonio Brown wanted a new contract, and they gave it to somebody else during the season. I believe it was Emmanuel Sanders might have got that contract, or Mike Wallace, somebody like that. And that's what's going to happen with Julio here in Atlanta. If he doesn't come back in the building, or if he continues to hold out, somebody else is going to get that money, and that'll probably try to get him going pretty quick.
Sean, you've been in the Falcons locker room. What are these guys thinking? It's impossible to shut out all the noise from this Julio stuff. What are these guys thinking?
Well, when it comes to football, they would love for their teammate to be there so they can be the best team that they can be. But, in the meanwhile, you got to, like I said, you got to focus on what you have to do. You can't let that distract you. The media is going to be asking you many questions about the guys that aren't there. And I think you just kind of deflect that. You say, I don't want to speak on guys who aren't here, and we're just focusing on trying to be a better football team. And that's what you're going to hear throughout the Falcons camp.
Sure. Mohamed, you can speak on this because you're an offensive guy. Obviously Julio's a big part of what the Falcons do on offense. Is it possible to even get a feel for what that offense can be in training camp without Julio there?
It's a little bit different because he's been with the team for 7 years. Him and Matt know each other pretty well. It's not like they're inserting a new offense. He's working out right now. He's going to be in shape.
But it's a little different with, you got Calvin Ridley now, right? There's another weapon. You have to try to figure out a way to get him involved too.
He's not Julio.
He's not Julio.
I'm saying if you had Julio, you had Sanu, and you had Ridley, and you had, you would like to have all your weapons out there so you can see how they all work right now.
Well, in this league, they're always bringing in people to take your job. That's just the nature of the business. Now, it would be great to have Julio there. The guys are, obviously, you guys watch him out there on Sundays. But they have to take what they have and go out there and be the best team that they can be. And in the meanwhile, I'm pretty sure Julio's working hard, and his team, away from the field, they're trying to make sure that he can get there as soon as possible.
It's a blessing in disguise. Julio's going to come back and be the Pro Bowl player we know him to be. Calvin Ridley, he's just going to have to grow up now because they're going to insert him into the offense, probably in Julio's spot. And if he gets those extra reps, it takes some of the pressure off of Julio when he does get back.
At what point does this Julio stuff become a problem for the Falcons?
Well, his leverage is simply holding out, right? And I'm unapologetically pro player in these types of instances. Julio knows the market has passed him by. You see guys like Brandon Cooks, Sammy Watkins, Jarvis Landry just surpassing him and what he's getting this year, which is $10 million. It's up to the Falcons to figure out how to make the money work, okay? Julio is a top 5 player in the league. He knows that. The Falcons know that. He's saying, pay me the money that I'm worth. I know my self-worth, and I'm not going to show up until you get the money. Give the money that I'm owed. So will they work some things around? Will they turn some money into guarantees? It remains to be seen, but Julio's only leverage is simply not showing up, and we'll see when everybody else does if he takes it into the season or not.
Would you guys show up if you were in his situation?
It could be dicey because when Cam Chancellor didn't show up, you see that season just unravel. So it would be in the Falcons' best interest to handle that situation now and give him the money that he's owed. Because if not, if you go into the season and he's missing games and the offense doesn't click, you run into a situation where the team starts to unfold and this could be the end of this run.
Yeah, everyone's talking about how this will affect the brotherhood and, you know, the team and everything. Do other players even care about what's going on with Julio and his situation?
I don't think so. I'll touch on this real quick, Spoon. But, I mean, you got to think. Everybody is in Julio's same boat. You are a player. You want the other guys to get money because it only benefits you. Now, after practice, when the media is peppering you with questions only about Julio, that's when you're like, man, I'm sick of this. Let's get something going.
I think that's true. I think, you know, most guys are just going to go to work and do what they can do. And when they get those questions, they're going to get tired of that. Yeah. But I think it's really going to say something if Julio's not there and the Falcons are losing games. I think that's when it becomes like, man, I wish we can get this thing, you know, done because we need that guy on our football team. He makes us a better ball club.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to fault Julio, though, because they understand the business side of it. If Julio gets cut tomorrow,
which can happen.
Teams break contracts all the time, and then when the player tries to take this power back, then the player looks like the bad guys. But the teams do it all the time, and players understand the dynamics because one of those players that may have an issue with it, they may get cut, and they'll be trying to look for a job and hoping that they had their guaranteed money up front.
You hear fans say he's got 3 years left on his contract, right? Falcons can cut him today. They owe him zero money.
Right.
If a player plays bad, the owner brings him to the office and says, hey, take a pay cut or we're going to cut you. I could be signed to a 10-year contract today and get cut by 5 p.m. Contracts in the NFL means very little except guaranteed money. That's what Julio wants, so I'm in the boat right there with him.
I think we can get that done. I think they can get Julio back to Flowery Branch.
How do they do that, Spoon? How at this point,
you got to go in the room and get creative.
Julio show up to anything at Flowery Branch without some kind of new deal, something changed to his contract? Can he at this point show up?
Oh no, he's already set a precedent that he is standing firm on what he believes in, what he and his agents believe in.
End of training camp, nothing's done. Is Julio showing up?
And I know Muhammad said a little bit earlier about guys needing those reps. And I think sometimes, you know, the less reps on guys can actually help you in the long run when you want to be in mid-season form.
Come on, you know him. At the end of training camp, there's no new deal. Is Julio showing up?
I don't think so.
Why not?
He's got to get it done. You know, it's his time. Julio's maybe 28, 29 years old. I mean, you look at receivers. These guys that are getting these deals are younger guys. So he has to make it happen now.
All right, well, we'll certainly see what goes on with Julio Jones and the Falcons over the next couple weeks. The Falcons report Thursday, and training camp officially begins on Friday.